Hello, welcome to Win Some Loosemore. My name is Dieter. You join me for Why I Like, a series of videos where I take you through some of the games in our collection and tell you why I like them. And today I'll be telling you why I like Century Eastern Wonders. Now, Century Eastern Wonders is the second game in a trilogy. My very first Why I Like video was Century Spice Road, which is the first game, and I had just got this at the time and said I would do this one soon after. It's taken me over a year, but we're here now. Century Eastern Wonders uses some of the same ideas, still trading things, but done differently, using boats. Let me show you how it works. Come back, tell you why I like Century Eastern Wonders. So here you see I've set the game up for 3 people. We each get a player board, double-sided, but we're using this side with just the rows with the numbers on. There's also another side for combining the first 2 games, but we're just playing this side. And we each get our little outposts that populate this board. And before the game started, we got to choose our opening supply and then where on the board we started. The board is made up of these great little tiles that have the trade that you can do on there, some spots for the outposts, and then what type generally is being produced there. There are also the port places with these contracts on that if you turn in these you get that many points. Nice and simple. So as ever with these games, this is all the rules, just 2 sides of what is nearly an A5, because the rules are very simple. You can do basically 2 or 3 things. On your turn, you can always move if you so choose before you do anything else, and you can move at the beginning to an adjacent space. If you want to move further, you can jettison some cargo to leave it behind. So let's say this pink person wanted to come here, they could move there for free, and then if they wanted to move again, they could leave some of their cargo behind. But whoever then came into that space later could take that cargo equally. They could come back and get it. But to begin with, it's only 1. And once you've moved, if you've so chosen to move, you can do 2 different things. You can either, 3 different things in fact. You can either set up a market and do a trade. So let's say, well, this person has the first player symbol, so they are first player. So the white player has 2 reds, they're on a location, so for their turn they're not going to move. They're going to see what type of place it is. It's ginger or yellow. So they take their leftmost yellow outpost, so they're going to do a market action and build an outpost for free. That now means whenever they come to that tile, they can trade there as much as they like, and they're going to do the trade. They don't have to, and if they can't afford to, they can still build an outpost, but they don't have to do the trade. 2 reds, which they have, so they turn in 2 reds, and they get back 2 yellows and a brown. Brown being the most valuable resource. So yellow is ginger, red chili, green tea, brown cloves, but that doesn't really matter. In all of their Century games, it's just yellow, then red, then green, then brown. So that's their action. They are done. Another thing that you can do after moving, if you so choose, is just to harvest. So all the islands, you can just take 2 yellow cubes. So pink is not going to move, not going to do the trade. So they are just going to take 2 yellow cubes, and at the beginning of the game you have a maximum space of 10 cubes that you can have, or 10 goods that you can carry. Now the black player, what else, is going to stay where they are again. So this is a brown location, so they'll put a brown outpost there, and they will trade a red and a yellow for a brown. So nice and simple. We carry on doing that. You moving around the board. So I want to move here, but I'm not going to do the market action. I'm just going to harvest 2, and so you can do that. Eventually, when somebody has, I'm just going to cheat very quickly, when somebody has the correct resources required for one of these contracts, let's say at the beginning of Black's turn, they have these resources. They can move onto here for their movement and then do a port action, which just means turning in the cubes that it says, which is all of these, and they get that many points. Now, this is kind of a race. The game finishes when a player has taken their fourth one of these. So we replenish it, that's fine. Somewhere shuffled in the top 5 is this X. Once this comes out, let's say this one was taken, the X would come out. There is no trade at this port. And now when this one is taken, this moves here, and so the new one comes out there. It just stops people hovering around the same one. It forces people to move around. The other way, so that's the main way of getting points. The other way is on your board, as you saw, as you uncover spaces from your putting out outposts. This space is worth 1 point, 1 point, 2 points, 2 points, 3 points. So the more and more you do within a particular type, the more valuable they are. And the other thing that you can achieve, if you empty whole rows, let's say I had one in red, one in green, and one in brown, I have now emptied an entire column. I am entitled to, this symbol here is an upgrade, and we have these upgrades available to us. You can either take this one, which at the end of the game is 2 points, and every time you build an outpost, you get to immediately upgrade 1 cube. So if you had a yellow, you can immediately turn it into a red for free. You could do that. This is just a stack of raw points, first one being 6, then 5, then 4, then 3. You could take this one, which is worth a point at the end, but every time you harvest and take 2 yellows, you also gain a red. That's a good one. And this one, you can now move 2 spaces for free, so it's increased movement, or this one just increases your cargo hold. So you can now carry 13 instead of 10. The game continues like this until somebody has 4 of these. We stop, we count up all the points. Every non-yellow cube you have left in your on your sheet is worth a point, and whoever has the most points wins. So why do I like Century Eastern Wonders? Well, at first I didn't as much. Played Century Spice Road, as I say, originally, and really enjoyed that, and it helped me really launch me into kind of some of the gaming that I do now, some of that idea of trading, engine building, some of the Euro style mechanics on cubes for cubes to get points. And then this one felt like it didn't have a place. It was close enough that you might not need both. But it was different enough that it wasn't aimed at the same people. Spice Road is easily gateway. You can introduce anyone to it, and I have, and it works. They get it. They know what they're doing. Whereas this one's a little thinkier. This one only plays up to 4, not 5, and I don't know, on the face of it looked more dull. And so it's sat in our collection. We played it a few times, but then more recently I've pulled it out more and more, taken it to the group that I play with, and I've really enjoyed this puzzle. I've really enjoyed just the spatial aspect, just being able to move around and plan from the beginning, okay, based on where the tiles have come up, what's going to be my best route? Am I going to build an engine that is only like 4 or 5 different islands and I can just keep looping around and getting the things that I want to turn in for the points? Or do I go on the outpost route and try and spread out as much as possible, but they're getting there before me? And so it's really interesting at different player counts how that tension plays out. I really enjoy it. It's really grown on me. It's, I'd say, nearly equal for me as Spice Road. There's not a lot in it in terms of my enjoyment of them both. The pieces are really nice. The production's nice. I like that they're not just typical hexes. They're the wavy ones because it's on the sea, but it still feels familiar. It still feels like a Century game. And when I finally get around to doing Century and New World, hopefully you'll have an idea of what I mean by a Century game. There's only the 3 of them. But having said that, they can combine. And we have combined Eastern Wonders with Spice Road to create Century Sand and Sea From Sand to Sea, I don't remember, which uses this board and your boats and things, but you've also got the cards from Spice Road. It might take a separate video, I might do another one another time, but that was really thinky but really satisfying. You don't do as much, but it takes more thought and more patience to kind of do those things, so that's really cool. So the scope of this game, that it combines, that it's a next step. This trilogy works really well at introducing people into games, because you gateway, good. Now this is a next step kind of game. Similar concepts, but let's take it further. Let's do pick up and deliver, a new mechanism. Sort of pick up and deliver. I like the level of interaction that, you know, by you going there, it's then more expensive for the next person, but if you want to move further, you drop things off. So that's a nice thing. If you want to enter the space of somebody else, you have to pay them. So there's a nice interaction. It's more getting in each other's way, getting the thing that you wanted just before them, rather than actual conflict as such. It's got that engine building aspect, whereas if you get the columns of the outposts, you get the upgrades to make what you want to do quicker. There's argument within the group which one to go for first. I often go for get the red cube as well. Most people seem to go for extra movement. I've seen a few. One of the guys won by getting more storage and just did loads of trades because he could, and so was much more flexible. So it kind of works every way, and getting those raw points, yeah, it's good. There's good variety. It's replayable because you don't use all the tiles all the time. The order will be different each time. Bit fiddly setting it up, but that's okay. It's worth it. Yeah, and the combination game is great as well. So if you have Spice Road, I would say get Eastern Wonders. If you don't have any of them, I think they're as good as each other, and people disagree. People might think this one's dull, they might not like how simple Spice Road is, whatever it is. People have different opinions. I think they're equally good. It just depends what kind of thing that you want. If you're only wanting one of them, I couldn't say which one to get. But if you are interested, the trilogy is great. The second one is a really good addition to it. That is why I like a Century Eastern Wonders. Thank you very much for watching. Do follow us in the meantime. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and follow us on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the usual places. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you very much. I've been Dieter for Win Some, Lose More. Goodbye.